Jon Bones Jones could fight, and get this, 2018, as in this year, as in with 3.5 months left and the freaking year. Believe it or not, it could possibly happen, and I'm going to tell you guys why. What's up? Fred Richani, TSC, your home for MMA news updates, interviews, and everything in between. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Maybe you want to check out our Tito Ortiz interview I just uploaded. But enough of that. Jon Bones Jones, one of, if not the greatest MMA fighter of all time, could be fighting in 2018. And here's why. According to ESPN and the United States Anti-Doping Agency, a.k.a. USADA, which is the anti-drug governing body of the UFC, not directly affiliated with the UFC, by the way. They're a separate entity, although when you hear this news, you may think otherwise. The USADA announced Wednesday it has suspended Jon Jones for 15 months for testing positive for metabolites of an anabolic steroid on July 28th, 2017. The suspension is retroactive to the date of the test, meaning Jon Jones has already served 14 months, which means Jon Jones could actually, possibly, unbelievably be fighting after October 28th, 2018. Now, why is this a big deal besides the fact that he is a great, great fighter, one of the all-time greats, one of the bigger stars in UFC history? Let me tell you why. Because it's unfair. It's ridiculous. And it makes a complete mockery out of the UFC and USADA. And what it does is crap on the dudes that might have had a legitimate case. Because there are guys like Josh Barnett who lost a year of their career only to have a tainted supplement, ruling overturned, but they couldn't get those 10 months back. They didn't get their money back. You got filthy Tom Lawler, who was suspended for tiny, tiny traces of Osterine, first-time offender. Dude lost 2 years of his career. Didn't get a chance to appeal. And then, before the suspension was over, got a kick in the ass out the door. Now, full disclosure, I like Jon Jones. I got nothing against him personally. I really don't. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him fight. I would love to see a Daniel Cormier trilogy with him presumably being clean. I would love to see Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar. I would love to see Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I would love to see all those freaking fights. I would love it. But here's the problem. It's about what's right. Okay? And I'm tired of this. This is very similar to the NFL with their half-ass suspensions, right? Oh, we care about women. Jameis Winston gropes a woman's crotch in an Uber car. Oh, let's give him 3 games. Tom Brady deflates a football. Oh, let's give him 4 games. Where's your priorities at? Either don't punish him at all or make it harsh. Wasn't that the point of USADA? Wasn't the point of USADA to detract MMA fighters from juicing, from taking stuff they shouldn't? And you can make the strong argument that MMA is such a rough and tough and thankless business that, you know what? Guys should be allowed to be on TRT like they were in the past. Guys should be allowed to be on steroids. Guys should be allowed to take supplements with a doctor's prescription. I used to be very hard on that aspect of things, but over time, I see how thankless this sport has become, and I get it. I get why guys and girls may need a little edge. I get it. That being said, within the rules, it is unfair. And the rules need to be enforced if you're going to be all gung-ho about them, okay? If a guy can lose 6 months to a year of their career based on a tainted supplement or a fugazi drug test, okay? Like some guys have, like Tim Means and Josh Barnett. And I think Junior Dos Santos is one of those guys as well, where it happened to him, okay? If that can happen to them, why are the people that are first-time offenders, people that may have gotten screwed over by the testing, by some sort of supplement, why are they more harshly penalized than a guy like Jon Jones, who, with all due respect, has been a bust of a UFC star in recent years. Why does a guy who tested positive for cocaine, granted out of competition, still, why does a guy who's had a DUI, who's tested positive for cocaine, who's tested positive for steroids twice, why does he get the benefit of the doubt? Why does he only get 15 months? 15 months! Now look, there's a chance that after October 28th, he'll have to reapply for a license in Nevada. He'll have to reapply for a license in California. He may not get licensed here. He may not get licensed there. But let's keep it real. He's going to get relicensed. He's going to get another fight. He's going to get a big fight, and he's going to make big money for himself and the UFC, and I just don't get why. Okay, I get why, but I also don't get why. And let me explain, well, why? Because without Daniel Cormier, without Rashad Evans, who just recently retired, Jon Jones would be considered a bust of a UFC star. Not a bust in terms of accomplishments. Great light heavyweight champion, defeated pretty much everybody in front of him. But if you look at the pay-per-view numbers, didn't do so great against Glover Teixeira. Didn't do so great against OSP. Didn't do so great against other guys, Machida, a number of other dudes that weren't named DC or Sugar Rashad. He owes them a lot. And I just don't get it. Okay, Conor McGregor, as reprehensible as his actions were, and I think it's absolutely preposterous of the UFC to just stand behind a guy who got off easy. Didn't even get a slap on the wrist. He got a tickle from New York. He didn't even get a slap on the wrist. Okay, but I get it from a business perspective. I don't like it. It's very reminiscent of Floyd Mayweather, who beat the mother of his children and had a delayed jail sentence just so he could make Nevada $100 million, which is disgusting. But as disgusting as all that is, I get it in a corrupt, shady, slimy, sleazy promoter kind of way. But Jon Jones coming back. Let's assume that Brock Lesnar is eventually going to fight DC. What's Jon Jones without DC? What's a Jon Jones fight without Brock Lesnar? To me, it's a guy that's still one of the bigger stars, but somebody that's probably only going to draw you, let's keep it real, maybe 300,000, 400,000 buys. They had a champion versus champion match with Stipe and DC, and I think that did under 300,000 buys. Think about that. So is anybody really going to pay to see Jon Jones versus OSP2 or Jimmy Mano or Alexander Gustafsson? I mean, maybe some people would pay to see that fight, but still, realistically speaking, Jon Jones is a star that needs a real opponent, a charismatic opponent to draw. So I don't understand why you're making a mockery, a complete mockery out of your drug testing system, out of your promotion to accommodate a guy who has routinely failed you. He got stripped of the light heavyweight title, and then he got stripped of the interim light heavyweight title. Hasn't he been stripped technically like 3 times? I think he's been stripped like 3 times, right? Because technically, like 2-3 times, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And now, and the thing is this, whether I agree or disagree with everything UFC does, okay, and I disagree with a lot of the approaches they're taking right now, I feel like they're less fighter-friendly and even fan-friendly than they've ever been, okay? They got like $1 billion deal from ESPN. They're making money with ESPN. They got that deal coming up next year. That means it's a fixed income. They are beyond getting their return on investment. Okay, the WME IMG bought UFC for $4 billion. So why the need to bend over backwards for Jon Jones? Is it because you've failed to create a star since Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor? Is it because you've failed with other fighters and because Dana White burying fighters left and right to the media has finally caught up with them? Because guess what? If you bury enough fighters, okay, if you say Amanda Nunes sucks enough times, if you insult Tyron Woodley enough times, guess what? Some people are going to say, yeah, maybe he's right. I'm not going to buy that damn thing. Maybe I'll just illegally stream it or something. Maybe I won't even watch. You got all these fighters that are super talented on the roster, a number who are very charismatic that just need a little bit of a spotlight, a little bit of that promotional push. And I ain't talking about Cookie Cutter Stage Northcutt, although he does seem like a nice kid. And instead, you forego, excuse me, it's easy for me to say, all that to just accommodate Jon Jones, who might be able to pop you one decent buy rate. I'm sorry, I'm just not interested. I'm just not interested. I'm really not. Yeah, it'd be cool to see him fight Brock Lesnar. It'd be intriguing to see him fight DC. But other than that, if he's not going to fight either one of those guys, what's the point? Seriously, what's the point of making a mockery out of your drug testing system? And another thing, when they get on ESPN, and I'm curious to see what happens here, is ESPN just going to turn a blind eye to this and say, no big deal? Or are they actually going to be journalists like they are in a lot of aspects of sports and actually cover this and ask Dana White, who I guess they're now sort of paying, the tough questions like, hey, man, why is your drug testing thing a joke? I don't know. I think it's unfair to every other fighter, especially every other clean fighter. I think it's unfair to guys. Hell, I think it's unfair to guys that pissed hot and just were plain wrong. Lyoto Machida, one of the all-time great UFC fighters, he got 2 years. Rightfully so, because that's the letter of the law. Why can't Jon Jones get at least 2 years? Technically, under USADA rules, wouldn't this be Jon Jones' like second or third failure? Wouldn't that mean like a 4-year ban? A 5-year ban? It's just ridiculous. Like, at this point, they don't even really need him. They don't. I don't know, man. It's just absolutely preposterous. Ryan Monroe here commenting on the live stream saying, Jon Jones versus Anthony Rumble Johnson. I'm not really interested in that. Okay. I guess it'd be interesting in a sense that Jon Jones would fight a guy that could legit knock him out. But after the first round, the guy would get tired, and Jon Jones would probably just beat him. Cool. Okay. I mean, look, I'm a fight fan, first and foremost. I love watching Jon Jones fight. The first live UFC ever covered was Jon Jones winning the freaking title. Okay? I'm very familiar with Jon Jones. I met Jon Jones. He was on an MMA show I worked on in the past. Cool guy. I'm sure he's a nice family man. But it's just, rules are rules. And you have a process. You have a system. Okay? And again, I don't support what they're doing with Conor McGregor. But at least it's Conor McGregor. Okay? At least it's like a Floyd Mayweather level star. Jon Jones ain't that. I'm sorry. He's not that. So at the end of the day, what's the moral or immoral of the story? It's that UFC doesn't care. They just care about the bottom line. And perhaps they've always... You know what? I think this just proves that the UFC and most MMA promotions, most promotions in general, boxing, MMA, wrestling, whatever, just care about the bottom line. And it doesn't matter if you're a commodity like Conor McGregor, like Floyd Mayweather, or if you're perceived to be a commodity like Jon Jones. They're going to take care of you. But at least a couple years ago, 3-4 years ago, when Lorenzo Fertitta was running things, at least you got the idea that they gave a damn about some fighters. You know, they gave Chuck Liddell a job. They gave Stephan Bonnar a job. They gave Matt Hughes a job. You felt like, you know what? Yeah, they're cutthroat. Yeah, they're promoters at heart. But you know what? Maybe they care just a little bit. Huh? Right? When they spent all that money for USADA a few years back, that was a bold move by the UFC, and I gave them props because you know what? That was a move that did not directly benefit them at all. Okay? In reality, they really probably shouldn't even be in the drug testing business if you're talking about just the bottom line. So I give them props for spending that money, for ingratiating USADA, for dealing with the growing pains, and all that. But seriously, between the Reebok deal, between the non-existent video game deal, between Dana White burying these fighters left and right and telling Harvey Levin, hey, they deserve it, okay? All this crap. Between the Fugazi drug testing and now this situation with Jon Jones. And oh yeah, on top of that, Conor McGregor having Rose Namajunas have panic attacks. His attack on that bus is still to this day causing Rose Namajunas, the current strawweight champion, to have panic attacks. Imagine if that dolly or something actually hit Rose Namajunas. It's already psychologically effed her up. Well, hey, UFC claims it cares about women. UFC claims it cares about the fighters. But their actions, especially in recent years, have said otherwise. So I don't want to hear it. I just don't. I just don't. But hey, that's the state of MMA we live in. MMA used to be fun. As fun as you can get for a sport that's extremely violent and thankless. It used to be fun. Now it's just, okay, let's put out a show this week. Let's put out a show that week. Let's try to shame GSP to come back so we can make some money with him and then insult him as soon as he gets injured. Let's try to get Jon Jones to come back and use him and spit him right out, let him fall flat on his face again instead of getting real help. This ain't the sport I fell in love with many years ago. But then again, maybe it was all this time and we're just seeing its true colors. But folks, I want to hear from you. What do you think about Jon Jones potentially being reinstated in 2018, despite not producing a tainted supplement of any kind? Let me know. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to share this with all your friends. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/thesportscourier. Follow us at Sports Courier on Twitter, at TSC News on Instagram. Of course, you can just subscribe right here for all the latest videos, enable notifications. Like I mentioned before, I just uploaded an interview with Tito Ortiz. I just recently uploaded the Tito Ortiz Chuck Liddell press conference. Talk about craziness in MMA, right? Two old dudes fighting, but seems a lot more interesting than this, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, folks, let me know. Leave a comment below. Until next time, as always, enjoy the fights, especially Jon Jones, because you're getting off easy. Damn.